All right, so plan for today is we're going to go over the first step of creating the drawing files. And let me make sure. I think the audio is working. Yeah, sure, why not? We're going to do this in a couple steps, a couple videos to simplify things, but just a general idea of where we're going. We're going to create a new drawing file, and our drawing file is going to be made up of several sheets, okay, in a logical order. The majority of them are going to be multi-view drawings, okay, and I'll show you all the details for everything and how to make everything look good. We're going to do a whole thing on dimensioning, which is the act of putting dimensions on a drawing. When you're creating a part file, when you put a dimension on, you are changing the size of something and constraining the size. You're locking it in. In a drawing file, you're putting it on there for the sake of communicating, okay? Communicating the size of something. Because the basic idea or the overall theme of all of drawing files is communicating the idea of your part, whether it's to a manufacturer that you want to build it, whether it's for a client that asks you to design something, if you're in the role of a engineer, or if it's I don't know, we can do we'll do assembly views, which if you ever seen like some assembly required IKEA type of thing, where it has the bolt going through the hole, through the nut and washer and everything all in a line, that's another use for it, for the customer to assemble something, okay? But either way, this is the main way we're going to communicate our ideas, that and through animations, which makes sense. If you are designing something for somebody else to see, you would want it to be in a file format that they can open, because not everyone's going to have Inventor. This drawing file you can print as a PDF, send them a PDF, and then create your animations in a universal video file format. So it's a lot more convenient for things. Okay, so like I said, we're going to start with a default drawing file, and it will give you one sheet automatically. We are going to have several sheets in the same drawing file. All right, and we'll do them in a particular order. We'll start with an assembly view, or actually two assembly views, and then we'll do a presentation file, which is our exploded view. This isn't the best one. You're actually going to either create a new presentation file for this purpose or adjust the old one, because if your goal is to create a single view, and like this is a single view, this is 4 separate views. Each sort of entity on the drawing file is a view. If you're trying to create a single view that shows how something goes together, you're not going to do the type of animation that we did, where everything is sort of like all twisted around and all over the place. You probably don't want to do more than one tweak for each part, and just think about how you could show it from a single view that shows how things go together. Okay, so from the start, everything's going to be from a base view, and you need to find your assembly. Now, there's going to be a slight difference whether you did the block or the single part file for each part, more so when we get to the part files with the dimensions. The dimensions are only going on part files, and they have a specific thing. When you're choosing a file for a base view, you can choose any of the other file formats. The most basic one is a part file. Okay, part file is the most basic one. An assembly is putting several parts together. A presentation can only receive an assembly that shows how, for the sake of explosion view or animation, but a drawing file can take any one of the file formats, and it helps a lot. It will save you trouble if you choose the type of file you're looking for. Okay, I'm looking for my assembly view, so I'm going to choose only assembly files from my option. And now, if you were doing parts, if each of your parts was its own assembly, then it would show up, and it's not a huge help, but it is somewhat of a help. And so I'm going to choose my main assembly, and you'll get just a guess at what you want. Okay, we definitely want to change the size, but we also want to choose our view, which you get a little view cube here that allows you to choose the angle of view that you want. Generally, we're going to be doing anything that's a 3D view is going to be usually an isometric view, meaning the top corner that you think best describes what's going on in the part file. There is custom view, which the drop down, custom view orientation, where you can choose something, and the same way that you would when you're designing it, choose your custom view, finish custom view, and it would give me that. That's fine. I'm going to recommend just going with the top corner, because what I want you to do is do one base view like this, and then do another base view of the exact same thing. And hold on, clearly I need to put on the highlight or shaded. To change things, just make sure you right click done with any tool that you have, then do right click edit view, and we want to turn on shaded. We're going to use shaded for everything that is a 3D view. When we get to the part files and are doing things, the two-dimensional multi-view, those will be unshaded. For now, let's just go with that. Okay, so we want a shaded one. You can see how that would have been useless without the shading. And so let's do another one of the same part, my assembly, and we want, let's go with maybe 90 degrees to the right, because this is the one that I already have, and I want it to go like that. Okay, you can't do 90 degrees this way if it's on this side of the view. One of the things you're saying when you put a view, one picture on the drawing file, is that where it is on the page describes how it relates to the other views. That will be a huge deal when we get to our multi-views, where you are putting, we know that this view right here, this is a right side view based on this front side view because it's to the right. Okay, that's another thing, another sort of inferred, and I forgot to do shaded again, right click edit view, another inferred piece of information there. Okay, that's it for our first sheet. Our first sheet is the assembly view. You can rename sheet if you want, but it's not critical. As long as you do things in order, it'll be fine. And we will talk about how to do the annotations for title box, text box. But for now, let's just get our sheets in line. In fact, I'm going to leave this. Yeah, that's fine. So now I want a new sheet. And let's, if I change this to exploded view, explosion of view. Will that change all of them to explosion view? Okay, so that's fine. It just, when you do new sheet, it just does whatever it was there before. All right, so our base view for our explosion view is going to be a presentation file. Now, the problem is, like I said before, is if you have a wild presentation where everything's super spread out and rotated, it's not going to be a good view for the for this explosion view. Okay, you know that this orange one here, at least on mine, doesn't point that way, and the green one points up. So this is not a good presentation for exploded view. I'm actually going to very quickly make a new presentation. Choose my, I don't know why I jumped straight to that, but that's fine. Give me a second. Where is it? Puzzle cube. 13. Okay. So I'll just go ahead and do an exploded view of my assembly and just do a quick sort of one tweak of every part file. Question in the back? You need to do turn on shaded, which is when if you do right click edit view, or before you do it, shaded is this button right here. And I forget to do that 100% of the time and have to go back and edit view. All right, so my goal is here to move out each piece in a straight line or as little as possible so it's clear how they all go together. And I kind of like this as the front-ish. And you don't have to do an isometric view for it, you know, like a corner. And we'll talk about why it's isometric later, or what that means. But you can do like a little bit below with a, you know, grabbing the view cube to find a different view. But either way, let's have this part go this way, and this part go that way, and this part go up, and this part go forward. Maybe the gray part stays in the same place, and we just have the pink one go downward. I would say that does a pretty good job. So let's save it, and we'll call it explosion view presentation. I guess I don't need to call it presentation if it's already a .ipn file. Well, that's also not where it goes. 20, there we go, and we'll just put it here. Save. And yes to all. I don't know what's going on and why it's doing that, but that's fine. And now we go back to our drawing file. Make sure we're on the correct sheet. We're on sheet 2. So we'll choose a base view. Let's hope this doesn't go weird. And does it already? Yep, it just chooses the most recent file, so that's good. And let's make sure it fills the screen. Make sure the drawing fills the screen but doesn't cross over lines. That's like a major thing. We don't want anything to go outside the screen. You can choose a better custom view if your explosion view 2 is too small but 3 is too big. You can type in 2.5 and get that. And let's drag this up a little bit. Actually, I can't drag it here. I need to do custom view. And this is where you click on that tiny drop down and go to custom view orientation, and I can get the exact angle that I like that describes the shape the best. There we go. And that is 2, 3 is a little cramped. 3 to 1. Let's try 2.75. You don't have to do the colon to 1, it knows. And I don't want that. Oh, shoot, I need to do create view. Give me a second here. Nope. There. And this will be orientation. And there we go. There's that. And I like 2.75. And we'll put it here, and I should be able to do okay. There we go. Okay, there's the exploded view. That's the second sheet. Now let's get a new sheet and should be able to rename it. Edit sheet. Let's call it green part. Okay, and so let's go ahead and choose for our base view. And this one's going to be different. This is our first multi-view. I'm going to do mine with just the plain not block format. Okay, and our first view needs to be what we consider the best front, which for this piece is going to be like this. Okay, you want the view that gives the most information about what this is. It's a two-dimensional view. It's going to be a face. But if my option is this view, or this view, which one best describes what the shape looks like? If you could do it in one view, you would choose this one. It makes the most sense. And we're not going to do shaded for this right now. What's the question? The 4 views on our multi-view. Okay, so we're always going to put what we consider the best view down here in the bottom left corner. And then you hit OK, and it should switch to projected view. It didn't. Okay, sometimes it switches. I bet that's in the settings. Okay, click on projected view, then click on your base view, and you bring your cursor up to the top, and it will give you the top view, and it will only let you put the top view directly above it. That's an important concept because when we get to drawing things, the lines have to line up as a way of communicating what goes where. Okay, so you click once there, and it just gives you a box, which when we do right-click create at the end, it will make more sense. And then we want a right side view, kind of close like that. And we do want one isometric view up here in the corner. Click, and then you do right-click create, and it will give you all, well, the 3 other ones. If you try to move this one left and right, it will let you, but if you try to move it up, it won't, because you've defined it as a right side view based on this front view. And you can rearrange things, but you can see how they're sort of like tied together. Okay, and then this 3D view, this isometric view, which comes in as the top right because that's where we put it. Let's go ahead and edit that one and make that one shaded. Okay, and you're going to do one of these multi-views for each of your part files. So far, I have an assembly view, an exploded view, and my first part. Let's go ahead and make a new sheet. Let's edit this sheet, and let's do a little trickier one. Let's try my orange part is the sort of L shape, or whatever. Let's go ahead and we'll choose the part file. We want to choose, we're only looking at part files. This is a good one. And so we know we want a little bit bigger, no matter what we choose as the best front. This one isn't going to have a very good front view. Let's just go to custom view orientation to see what we have to work with. So if this is what it looks like, I mean, this isn't a very good front. I mean, I'd say this is probably a better front view. But when we get to the issue of hidden lines, I mean, it's a little early for choosing that. I would say that this is probably the best front view because it shows that the general shape is an L, where, I mean, I guess this does too. Man, they all do. I'm going to go with this. It's not a huge difference, but if you look at from the top corner, you want the top corner. If the one that's going to be in the top right corner is a good view, it's probably a good front view. So yeah, let's go with this as our front view because that will make this the top right. That's good. So we'll choose finish custom view. And I'm already regretting it, but we'll just go with it. Not shaded, hit OK. Now we'll get a projected view, click on that one and do top. We're gonna have to change the scale already. Click there and then top right, click and then right click create. And let's just go ahead and change the scale here. We'll go to the main one, edit view, scale. Let's just try 4:1 and see what that does. It should, yeah, and it updates everything all the way across. And this one, let's edit that down to 4:1. If it's close, this doesn't have to be the same scale as the other one, but as the other three. But if we have 4 views, you can see how it's going to fit nicely. And then we'll edit this view, and I could have done that a second ago. Turn on shading, and there you go. All right, so you're going to have one of the multi-views for each of these. And just to go back and forth, you just double click on the name here. And so that's the first stage of this. We'll talk about how to do dimensioning and the proper way to do dimensioning for these later, but it is kind of cool how it automatically fills in with the dimensions that are supposed to be there. But don't bother guessing where the dimensions go. There are specific rules to do it right, and we'll talk about that next time. All right, let me know if you have any questions.